Yo, what is good, YouTube? It is your boy Kevin from God Squad TV, and today we are going to be talking about something I don't particularly like talking about. Reason being, I enjoy being in a very good mood, and talking about this game and this game series puts me in a generally bad mood because of how frustrated I am with the series. I am, of course, talking about EA Sports FIFA. Now, FIFA is without a doubt one of the biggest gaming franchises in the world, with the series raking in millions, if not billions, of dollars for EA worldwide, globally, on an annual basis. Now, many people have complaints about FIFA, myself included, that FIFA has become stale, it has become stagnant, it has essentially become the same game being released every single year with a roster update. And we wouldn't be wrong. I mean, let's look at FIFA 17 going forward. There haven't been any changes from FIFA 17 to FIFA 18 to FIFA 19. FIFA 20 just added UEFA Champions League and UEFA Europa League, but otherwise it is essentially the exact same game as FIFA 17, and that is the major problem I have with FIFA titles. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 things that I think FIFA can implement in future to make FIFA more vibrant, I guess, to make FIFA more different, to differentiate FIFA titles from each other and actually give us a good FIFA experience year in and year out. Now, on the top of things I want to talk about at number 1 would be better support for pro clubs, co-op seasons, and seasons, or as I like to call them, non-FUT online modes. Now, it's no secret that EA only focus on FUT when it comes to FIFA titles, but I actually think that these game modes are incredibly underrated, especially co-op seasons. Co-op seasons are always dead on arrival every single year. Hardly anyone plays co-op seasons because there's very little to no support for co-op seasons. And Pro Clubs, which is personally my favorite online mode in FIFA, gets little to no support as well. The servers are crap and finding games are nearly impossible for your club. And I'm not even going to talk about how bad the AI players are in Pro Clubs. I mean, your club's AI players will either play like star players one game and then completely cost you the league title the next game. I actually think that there is so much they could do with Pro Clubs, and one of the things that I'd like to see them do in FIFA future titles for Pro Clubs specifically is to allow us to upgrade AI players in our Pro Club. Similarly to how your own pro gets skill points depending on your performance, I feel like your AI players on your team should also get skill points, or rather the team in general should get skill points that you can allocate to certain AI players. Say for example you win 3 games in a row and you accumulate 10 skill points. You can either drop those 10 skill points into either your defense, your midfield, or your attack, making AI players better so that you can compete better in higher divisions. Now, the second thing that I would like to talk about in the list is a proper, better, and robust manager career mode. I mean, for goodness sake, manager career mode is the same thing every single year without any changes at all. FIFA 20 only introduced the interview system, but otherwise it's been generally the same manager mode that you've been seeing every single year. What I'd like to see is having proper team management. And what I mean by that is you have proper coaching staffs that you can hire that increase or decrease your team's performance. Better youth and player scouting, bettering the global network scouting system, and better training options. I feel like if you can take, for example, a winger and train him to be a striker, that would be a really beneficial thing to have, because sometimes these things happen in real life, and that would be proper team management. Take, for example, in FUT how you have team chemistry. In FUT, you can't just add or sell players without affecting your team chemistry, and this is actually a very intuitive and very good game mechanic that I really wish they could add into manager career, because it means that you have to make better purchases and you can't just buy star players, throw them in your team, and they'll perform as if your team is the best team in the league without even losing a single game. I feel like there are certain purchases and sales that should affect how your team performs. Now, speaking of team performance, I really think they should also do something about how the simulation works. because I don't understand how every single time I play manager career mode, the top team in the division literally goes the entire season unbeaten. How does this work? How does this happen? I really feel like they could do more to change the system, tweak it a little bit so the teams in the top 4 or top 5 are competitive but not damn near unbeatable. I find it incredibly frustrating that I have to win every single game in the season just to be top of the table. Give me some room for failure, give me some room for error, because I don't get how, if I'm playing as Chelsea and I want to win the league, I now have to win every single game, because when I look at Manchester United stats, they have 10 wins and 1 draw. I don't know how this happens. Come on, guys. Please fix manager career modes, have better interview systems, because the post-game interview system in FIFA 20 is good, I'll give you that. It's something that people have been asking for, but it was also lackluster. Have better interview systems with actual questions related to the game with voiced interviewers. And even though this one might be a bit of a stretch, I really think EA can do it. Have a voiced manager. Allow us to choose voices for our manager to give them personality and style. I don't want to be reading in a generic voice what my manager wants to say. I want to actually hear his voice speaking. Allow us to choose our voices for our manager, because all in all, if we can customize our manager now in FIFA titles, then we should be able to customize his voices, his personality, his style. Another thing I'd like to see added into manager career mode is pre-game team talks, where your style of talk affects your team morale before the game. If you dig into your players before the game, it obviously affects their performance somehow. If you motivate them before the game, it also affects the team morale by boosting it. Pro Evolution Soccer has a very similar system that I really think FIFA can introduce if they wanted to. PES has been introducing features that honestly should have been in many FIFA titles before. Take for example PES 20. The pre-game team talks are already in PES 20. I don't understand how they're not in FIFA. FIFA has a bigger budget than PES. Realistically speaking, EA could do a lot more with FIFA than Konami could do with PES, and yet it seems as if Konami puts more effort into their game than EA does in theirs. I don't understand why this is. Mostly it's because maybe FIFA has like a monopoly over player licenses, so they feel like they can do whatever they want. But really, we need these new features in the game to differentiate FIFA titles going forward. Another thing I'd like to see added into manager career mode would be things like how changing the captain of your team affects your squad's performance. You know, having proper manager rivalries. I mean, if I'm playing as a Chelsea manager and I'm going up against, for example, Man United, depending on how my team plays, I could build a proper manager rivalry with, say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the manager career mode. You know, have it like a proper build up, a proper manager rivalry. I really feel like this could make the manager mode a bit more intuitive, and I actually think it could make the game mode in general a lot better. Now, number 3 on my top 5 things I'd like to see is, and oh my god, please give us better AI difficulty. I'm not joking when I say this. Legendary difficulty in FIFA 20 was an absolute joke. Legendary difficulty was so easy, I was scoring 6 against one of the best teams in the world. I don't understand why this is. I don't know why EA can't just balance out their difficulties, because they literally had to patch in a new difficulty in an update to make up for the fact that their legendary difficulty was such a joke. I feel like they should have dynamic difficulties in the game, where some games are going to be slightly easier while some games are going to be a bit more difficult. For example, make derby games more difficult. If I'm playing the Manchester derby, I want to feel like I'm playing a Manchester derby. Give the game more atmosphere, make the fans more hostile, make the environment more hostile, and have your team actually feeling like they are playing in hostile territory. This is what I mean with dynamic difficulty. Make it seem as if your team is against the wall when they're at an away stadium during a derby game, and make your team feel like they're more bolstered when they're playing a home game in a derby game. Play around with the difficulty. Don't make the game too easy, but at the same time, don't make the game too difficult that I'm going to rage quit afterwards. Find a balance there that works for the game. And the fourth thing that I want to talk about in my top 5 things I'd like to see in FIFA is have more commentary teams. I swear, only having 2 commentary teams makes the game so incredibly stale. I don't know how many years we've had Martin Tyler and Alan Smith, but I am tired to death of hearing those 2. We need to have at least 3, 4, or even 5 commentary teams that rotate out each and every single game to make the game feel fresh. EA can do this. Let's not kid ourselves here. EA makes billions off of FIFA in a year. I doubt that they have any gripes or they would make significant losses with hiring more commentary teams to voice their game. I feel like this would give the game a lot more identity and it would make the game actually feel more different every single year if they start swapping out commentary teams. Now, the fifth and final thing I would like to talk about in this list that I would like to see in future FIFA titles is, and this for me is the biggest thing, for the love of God, fix player career mode. I cannot stress this enough. It is 2020 and your player still can't come off the bench in player career mode. A feature that Pro Evolution Soccer has had in their game since PES 12, I think, is still not in FIFA 20. I don't understand why EA just keeps putting this game mode into the game if they're not going to do anything with it. Either fix player career mode or take it out entirely. I mean, there's so many things that they could do with player career mode that they did in the journey. Things like changing your player's morale. Make your player unhappy with the club that he's in. Have post-match interviews for man of the match performances. Have actual leadership roles as captain. Whenever you ask for a transfer request, actually express interest in certain clubs so that those are the clubs that bid and offer transfers for you. You know, do something more with your player. Have your player's salary actually upgrade your equipment and training. I don't know why this game suddenly feels the need to tell me that, oh, if I go to Barcelona, I'm going to get £200,000 a year when I don't really do anything with the money that my player is paid. Actually have the money that your player earns go into player progression so that actually moving to these big clubs actually helps your player grow. For example, if I am a loyal Everton fan, and I only want to play as an Everton player my entire career, I have no incentive to move to a team for example, Real Madrid or Barcelona. I have no incentive to do it because honestly, the higher pay grade does absolutely nothing for my player. Whereas if your player's salary allows you to upgrade your player and make them better, for example, buying better trainers so that you upgrade your player faster, it would actually make me pause and question if I'm going to be staying at Everton for £50,000 a year or if I'm going to be moving to Real Madrid or Barcelona for £300,000 a year. Also have our players be able to negotiate their contracts at their current club. I don't understand how, if I'm doing better than every single person in my team, if I'm netting 30 plus goals a season, why is it I'm still getting a £5,000 salary? Why does my salary only increase when I move to another club? I mean, come on, man. Do something more with player career mode. Fix the mode or either rip it out of the game entirely, because I can't stand another year of player career mode just being a mode that they throw in and do absolutely nothing with. And those, guys, are the top 5 things I'd like to see from future FIFA titles going forward. Now, let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Do you agree with some of the points I've made, or do you disagree with them? And if you have anything you'd like to add, anything you'd like to see in future FIFA games, drop them down in the comments below. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And this has been Kevin from God Squad TV, signing off. Have a good day, guys.